And from that one meeting, I felt pretty confident that his team could pull it together. And I think what they did was fantastic. How they put it together, absolutely. Trinity did a fantastic job of screening the buyers, and I could sense a little bit of frustration with Gerald with that process because it is painstaking work. And for there to be a successful transition, a successful takeover of a business. Transition, it's got to be the right one, and I know he spent a lot of time on that. Most of what we did was by email, a lot of back and forth by email, but they were completely responsive and generally, answers within minutes rather than hours. Well, they did a fantastic job with that in that, again, Monty Walker, and forgive me if I don't even recall his specific capacity, but he's a major CPA, number cruncher, tax expert in that tremendous guidance and very, very timely answers because, these things happen on the fly, and if there's questions about how, certain tax attributes will be handled, you got to be able to have those answers quickly, and the team was great. They were awesome in that regard. 25 years of dealing with business professionals, I'd say he's right up there in the top 3, if not the top 1, just in how professional he handles himself and how he says what he's going to do and does what he says. Trinity was, the forefront of the transaction. They, were very actively engaged with the potential buyer, and I came from the approach that I had in going into selling my company was I recognized the value that I'd built over 25 years, and I perhaps you could call me uncompromising. I was not willing to compromise a whole lot in terms of selling price or what have you. I understood the value of what I had, and I believe we came up with a fair price, and it was more or less incumbent upon Gerald and the team to field someone who would see the value proposition in the company, and they were able to do that, and we got to the table. I really made virtually no concessions in this transaction, and that's really from Gerald's work and his team. Well, having, had coffee with a number of brokers over the years, never having any comfort level with them, I would just have to say these guys did an amazing job of, yes, I pursued them. I signed the contract with them. Obviously, I would have been very unhappy had I gotten any major feeling that they were representing the buyer versus me. I've done a number of real estate transactions where you get into buyer and seller brokers and situations of that sort, and various levels of unhappiness with that situation. I never got that feeling with Gerald and his team at Trinity Transactions. Obviously, there's so many complexities on all sides of a transaction such as this, and really what you're shooting for is a win-win-win, and that's for everyone. And I think that they definitely did their part for me throughout the process. In terms of Trinity and their sensitivity to the tax angle in the sale of this business, Letterpress Graphics Incorporated was incorporated as a Texas C corporation in 1992. I did that by design because I was told at the time, I was a 29-year-old kid, that it would be easier to sell the business in that form. In other words, sell it as an ongoing entity. As it ultimately turns out, lots of small businesses really shouldn't be constructed as C corporations. They're more difficult to sell. He was very sensitive to that, and in fact, one reason that I chose him was because he handled a sale of one of our clients, actually, that was a C corporation. So I knew he had successfully done it before, and if anybody had a shot at getting it done right, it would have been him, and very impressed with what he did. Where I think Gerald excels, and Trinity Transactions excels, Gerald at the helm, of course, is that he is practically a psychologist first. And because of his background, and way through life, he understands differences in personalities, and he sees very directly the synergies between certain personalities and the lack thereof. And he intentionally seeks successful situations, not just closings. That's my personal feeling from going through the process with him directly. It is definitely true. You know, the situation that my previous client who sold using him described to me was true for us. So track records are everything in business.